What you're about to hear is one of the most terrifying stories you'll ever encounter, and it's true. Once upon a time, in a distant village surrounded by rolling hills and dense forests, lived a young girl named Amara. She was the very definition of beauty. Her long, flowing hair shimmered like gold in the sunlight, her eyes sparkled with a mix of innocence and curiosity, and her smile could light up the darkest of rooms. She was the daughter of a humble farmer, and though she had little in terms of wealth, she possessed a grace and kindness that made her beloved by everyone who knew her. One day, a rich merchant's son named Armin saw her at the village market. His heart skipped a beat, for he had never seen a woman so beautiful. His family was well known for their wealth and influence, and it was customary for young men of his status to marry someone of equal standing. But Armin was different. He fell deeply in love with Amara, not because of her status, but because of the purity he saw in her. He made it his mission to win her heart, and after months of courting, Amara, too, found herself enchanted by him. Her father, though hesitant at first, saw the potential for a better life for his daughter and agreed to the union. A grand wedding followed, and Amara became the bride of Armin. The first days of their marriage were filled with the blissful glow of new love. Armin was kind to her, and she adapted to her new life in the grand house with ease. However, Amara's beauty, which had once been a source of pride, became a source of jealousy for Armin's brothers. The household was conservative, its traditions rigid, and the men who lived there were fiercely protective of their honor. They feared that the attention Amara's beauty attracted would bring shame to the family. One spring afternoon, as Amara stood on the balcony of her new home, the gentle breeze tousling her hair, she gazed out at the streets below. She had grown accustomed to the sights of the village, the hum of daily life, the clatter of market stalls, and the laughter of children. But today, something caught her eye. There was a young man walking down the street, and their eyes briefly met. She smiled without thinking, as she often did when she encountered someone friendly. What she did not know was that Armin and his brothers were watching her from the garden below. They saw her on the balcony, and her smile, which was so innocent, was misinterpreted as an invitation. Armin's heart hardened with suspicion, and he turned to his brothers, accusing her of seeking attention from other men. "Did you see that?" he hissed, his voice dripping with anger. "She is on that balcony, smiling at some boy in the street. She is dishonoring me, dishonoring this house." His brothers, eager to defend their family's honor, agreed with him. "She should know better than to flaunt herself like that," one of them grumbled. "Such behavior is beneath her." Armin's mind, clouded with jealousy, turned dark with rage. He stormed into the house and grabbed an axe, an implement meant for work, but now used for something far more sinister. His brothers followed, their faces set with grim determination. Amara, unaware of the storm brewing below, stepped back from the balcony. She had no idea how her innocent actions had been twisted into something dark, but when Armin burst into the room, his eyes wild with fury, she knew something was terribly wrong. Before she could speak, before she could explain, he raised the axe. Her white wedding dress fluttered as he struck. Her scream echoed through the house, but it was too late. She fell to the ground, lifeless, her blood staining the pure fabric of her gown. Armin stood over her, panting, his hands trembling. The years passed, and still, Amara's ghost lingered. Her spirit was restless, trapped between the world of the living and the dead, seeking justice for the life she had lost. She appeared to Armin and his brothers, her ghostly form haunting their every step. At first, they tried to ignore her, but soon, her presence became impossible to dismiss. Every night, they would hear her whispering in the wind, her voice barely audible, but always filled with sorrow. After decades of torment, the brothers died one by one, their deaths marked by strange circumstances that no one could explain. Armin, now an old man, remained haunted by the memories of his beautiful wife. But death, as it always does, claimed him too, and the house was left abandoned. Still, Amara's spirit lingered, her presence still felt by those brave, or foolish, enough to enter the house. Over the years, the house fell into disrepair, its once grand rooms now empty and decaying. Yet, the ghost of Amara remained, dressed in the same white wedding dress she had died in. A century passed, and the village had forgotten most of the details of the tragedy. But the house remained a place of fear and whispers. And then, one fateful day, a guest entered the house, a young woman named Layla, who had heard the stories of the haunting but was determined to uncover the truth. She walked through the dilapidated rooms, her heart pounding in her chest. The air was thick with the scent of dust and decay, but there was something else, something colder. As Layla stepped into the main hall, she saw it, the figure in white. Amara's ghost stood before her, her hollow eyes fixed on Layla with an intensity that made her freeze. "I will have my revenge," Amara's voice whispered, low and haunting, but filled with a promise. Layla's breath caught in her throat, and for a moment, she felt the weight of the past pressing down on her. The ghost's words were clear, Amara sought vengeance, but on whom? And then, with a sudden, eerie clarity, Layla understood. The house had been built on lies, on deceit, on a murder that had gone unpunished. And now, after all these years, Amara's spirit would not rest until justice was served. The victims would be those who had wronged her, Armin's brothers, who had silently stood by while she was killed, and Armin himself, who had let jealousy blind him to the truth. The curse of Amara's revenge was too strong, and the house, once a home, became a place of dread. No one dared live there again, and it was left to rot, its halls echoing with the cries of a woman seeking justice for a life stolen in the prime of youth. And so, the ghost in the white dress continued to haunt the empty house, waiting for the day when her vengeance would be fulfilled. Her story lived on, a warning to all who dared enter: some wrongs cannot be buried. They will rise, like a vengeful spirit, to make the guilty pay. And as for Amara, she remained, a ghost in the white dress, forever tied to the house she had once called home.